Ready when you are, CB. Do I start in Canada or Mexico?
It's me and Animal Kingdom.
We really hate us?
It's Theme Park Thursday Live with Dillos Dudes. Featuring Frank. And Jen.
This is Theme Park Thursday Live with Dillos Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank. And supposedly for the next 30 minutes, we are going to talk about 3 topics or subjects, theme park related, that we did not discuss on the Theme Park Thursday podcast this week. It was actually live streamed last night here on our YouTube channel and on our Facebooks and on our X Twitter, all the things.
Just like we are again tonight. 2 nights in a row.
Just the same. 2 nights in a row. When do we sleep? We were just talking about sleep prior to coming on here this evening. When do we sleep? When? Updating tomorrow, Friday, April 12th, we will officially have the hashtag Dillos Madness brackets ready to go. I set them up today. The seating happened last night. So if you're already jonesing for your March Madness, you already miss it. You got a little bit of the DTs from the loss of March Madness tomorrow. Hashtag Dillos Madness. Get your bracket at DillosDizResort.com. You got to join for free to participate in hashtag Dillos Madness. But DillosDizResort.com, that's our Patreon with memberships beginning as low as $1 per month. DillosDizResort.com. Did I cover it? I was like, I know I'm forgetting stuff. I got to talk. Jen, I got it.
I think you did it. Hey, so when we released the podcast audio version today from last night, I didn't edit because again, sleep. I need to sleep. So I just took out, dropped out the intro, dropped out the outro, switched it up a little bit. I did not realize though, as I was putting that together, the emphasis. I mean, every week you put emphasis on this, but the emphasis on this on that episode was like extra. I was like, what? Why do I not remember he did this?
I no longer trust
an hour ago.
I no longer trust that the first words that come out of my mouth will be heard by the general public because my electronic devices have been at an all-time low for a couple of weeks. Yeah. So that's the reason for the extra this.
I do see in the chat people are asking for Mama Dillo. She's not here this evening, but we do have a guest, so But Mama Dillo always on call. We never know if we're gonna just ring her up at any moment. But yes, she did make an appearance last night. But today we have a guest for Theme Park Thursday Live. I don't know has that happened. Yeah, we've done that before.
We've done it before. It's been a long time, I think, since we've had a guest for Theme Park Thursday Live. But here's the thing, right? We have a couple of topics. I would say at least 2 of these 3. We're definitely getting to one topic tonight. Yes. But 2 of these topics fall under the category of da 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 da. And Jen and I, we try to be Switzerland, even though you shouldn't be Switzerland anymore. You gotta make easy choices for yourself or something. I don't know how it goes. But for the topics, we were like, we have to get a guest. Who do we know that's like a lightning rod, who won't hold back on their opinions, who will speak their mind? I'm just gonna keep going, so they keep shrugging in the green room. So Jen reached out to our guest last evening
after basically saying that it would happen, and then I had to actually ask.
Plenty of notice to give this guest to do some research. Yeah. There's a little hint right there with the research, because I think this guest does research sometimes. known for the research, right? Where we're not known for the research.
No, we are not.
No.
Research means planning, and it's all in the same category.
I think we can bring the guest in now.
I think so.
Please welcome to Theme Park Thursday Live. It's been a while since we've all been in the same little screen together. It's Pixie Dust PhD herself. It's Dr. Jacqueline. Dr. Jacqueline, hello.
Hey-oh, sorry I'm not Mama Dillo. I know that's a big disappointment for everybody, myself included.
Hardly. We are so happy to see you. Sometimes I feel like it hasn't been that long until I realize how long it is that we see friends in these little windows, and it makes me
Well, we talk
sad.
between the windows a lot, so I think that's
helps. True. That helps hold us over.
So, Dr. J, how's everything been going?
I mean, pretty good. Like, life is always crazy. I know I don't make it to these lives as often as anybody wants, but, it's always good to make time, and really happy to be here, and, always planning the next Disney trip. And you guys are big instigators in that, so thanks for that.
That's what we're here for.
To say, because Dr. J, right before we announced the meetup for September this year, basically, like, the Christmas Eve of announcements, as it were, like the day before, Dr. J and I are just back and forth. She's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What is going on? Don't pick
Frank?
this."
No.
What?
No. Frank wouldn't make decisions, and he kept being like, "Well, this weekend, that weekend, like what works for you?" And I'm like, no. Like, this has to be a you thing. You pick a day. You announce a day, and I will try to make it work, and that's that.
And then she's like, "Don't pick that day. What are you doing?"
No, I said you can pick that day, but I can't come that day. But you should pick that day if that works for everybody else. Like, this can't be a me thing.
It's because he knows he's being blamed, and then he needs other people to blame. He's like, "Well, what works for you?" Huh?
Dr. Jacqueline said.
Oh yeah, a lot of the good friends I think were throwing me under the bus there. That's fine. I accept. I'll be the instigator. Also, Duckers, go Huskies. Thanks. You're a real dog.
Awesome. Well, the three topics are just already 7 minutes in. We have 23 minutes to go. I don't think we're going to make it. I think it's going to go long. So we have three topics to discuss here. The order. I don't know. Maybe we should let Dr. Jacqueline pick the order. I don't know. But usually we let the viewers.
Yes.
Topic number one, the biggest topic of the week. All the DOS updates.
I don't know if anyone's heard about any of that at all. I don't know.
Totally fine.
No one's been talking about it, really. I don't know. I haven't seen. We're live on the X Twitter. Definitely not over there. Are people talking?
Topic number two. We haven't really discussed this since they've been showing off the animatronics and whatnot. So the Bayou Adventure update, we can delve into a little bit here. And then topic number three, which came directly off of at Pixie Dust PhD over on the X Twitter. I call it the DLP Olympiad. And there were some marketing things that were kind of blending Disneyland Paris with this summer's Olympic Games in Paris. Dr. Jacqueline had some words about it on the Twitter. I figured I'd give her a platform here to rip Olivia. She's rolling her eyes already. She's like, "What are you doing to me?" So those are the three topics.
Place your bets, everyone. Place your bets. I think everyone can assume which topic will probably take the most time. But 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
We'll never get to 2 and 3.
I know.
Do one first. You guys know that?
1, 2, 3. I mean,
The people have spoken.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone. The people, they know what they want.
So Disney has made some announcements this week that some updates are forthcoming. I think first to Walt Disney World, then to Disneyland, one in May, one in June. Am I right there, Dr. J? Is that correct?
Yep.
And then some of the verbiage, some of the wording has led to reactions, I would say. But I think we can I think we've read most of it, but we do have some information available. I'm going to let Dr. J summarize first, because just like the DVC, Jen and I are like, we don't know if we're getting this right. So I'm gonna pass it to her.
Okay. Well, yes, there's the Disability Access Service Program, of which one of the hot topics on Twitter is how do you even say it? Do you say DAS? Do you say DOS? Do you say
I
DAS?
was just about to ask because Lewis is talking about that because he said it's pronounced what looks to me like Daz, like 2 Z's. He's saying. I always said DOS. It's not
I don't
DOS.
know.
DOS.
Everybody's right. That part doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, Disney basically pushed updates to their Disability Access Service web pages for both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And like Frank said, they'll take effect on different days, one late May, one like mid-June for Disney World and Disneyland respectively. And in a lot of ways, the program's not changing a ton. There's a lot that's quite untouched. I think what we're seeing online is they used to have general verbiage, which I don't have in front of me, but you can look it up on my channel if you want. I'm sure I copy pasted it there. That was just like, disability access services to help guests who are unable to stand in queues conventionally for whatever reason. They didn't really name anything. It was very vague. And it remains fairly vague, but now it says along the lines of this supports guests who, due to a developmental disability like autism or similar, are unable to wait in a conventional queue. So they added that compound part of the sentence that says, due to a developmental disability like autism or similar. And so on the one hand, I think that's a really big win that they actually like named what this is for. Because in many years, I'm not going to say forever because I haven't looked into it deeply for forever, but for many years, it's never been for mobility disabilities, which is a lot of the questions they get definitely in person. I see a lot of that chatter online. It's never been for folks with mobility only disabilities. So now they're saying, okay, expressly, this is for developmental disabilities. And a lot of folks have read that language and decided it means everything that's not a developmental disability will be excluded. Which reasonably, like there are a lot of disabilities that fall outside of mobility and outside of developmental that DOS has traditionally helped. And so reasonably, I think those people are upset that they feel like they're going to be left out. My personal opinion is I work in policy and advocacy. I'm not a lawyer. I've never worked for Disney. I do have a little bit of experience with disability policy and advocacy. This reads vague to me. Like it's not that different to me than the old one because it's this support service guests who, due to a developmental disability like autism or similar, are unable to wait in a conventional queue. So you can fully read it without the part contained in the commas that says this service supports guests who are unable to wait in a conventional queue, which is what it used to say. I think they're just now providing an example. And I think my experience in policy and advocacy tells me that there is the written policy, and if there's wiggle room in that, then the implementation plan may not be what you think it is, and not have an implementation plan, and we will not know how they are going to interpret it until it's time.
Yeah.
There's so much there. I think the first thing is, to the mobility extent, you're right. That's like all perception. I think people are perceiving who they're seeing enter the line, interpret it, so when they make that leap, it's because of what they're seeing in separate queues at separate times. But I think I just know in recent years, there was one trip that Mrs. Dillo was in a wheelchair because she busted her ankle. Like we knew, this is a wheelchair accessible thing you're going through, so that is, if you don't know, you could see why you could perceive that, I think.
Right.
So I think that's definitely part of it. And is vagueness in this case good or bad, right? Because it does leave that room and it can go either way. So in some case, the vagueness is causing more
anxiety.
Yeah. And where if it was specific, then all of a sudden everyone would be like, but what about this? What about that? Where vague leaves you the room.
Right. And that's kind of my opinion is I think it will always, and not to put blame on anybody, but we tend to think of ourselves and our experience and what would work for us. And so there tends to be two camps in this discussion. The people who want a black and white checklist. Disneyland Paris has the system where it's get a letter from you bring the letter, you get the thing. There's no questions asked basically. But when you have a black and white checklist, then there's everything that falls in between that. And then you wouldn't be included. So the current DOS system, the one that hasn't changed over yet, is quite broad, and it will accommodate quite a variety of issues that wouldn't fall into a black and white checklist, honestly. And I hope, and my personal opinion, and maybe I'm being overly optimistic, is that the language still gives them the wiggle room to say like, oh yeah, okay, so this isn't a developmental disability, but maybe you're very prone to fainting, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yes, DOS makes perfect sense to you. I think they have that wiggle room to do that. And like I said, we'll just have to wait and see what actually happens. But at the end of the day, it's a very large corporation, and I feel certain they don't want to get sued more than they already are. So like, why would they open themselves up to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the vagueness is kind of good, because I think, I mean, everyone reading it and interpreting it will not probably agree with that. But for Disney themselves, I think it's good because, to your point, it's allowing for the wiggle room. And I think it really will come down to like training all the guest relations cast members on different scenarios and, you know, how to make those judgment calls. I know that, I mean, and this was the big back and forth too, people debating whether or not there's been an abuse of it, which, you know, kind of makes me laugh that like, who is debating that if there's been an abuse of any kind of system ever? I mean, of course. And people talking about content creators being like, oh, just do that and it's better for content and it'll get through things quicker, which is gross. But I think it will come down to training the cast members to how to handle those individual situations, because of course you're going to have people that are trying to push the envelope a little bit and see what they can get, and how to really decipher, because there are so many invisible disabilities that, you know, if someone's really making a push for it, how to really know for sure, and to your point, and not get sued at the end of the day.
And so
I mean,
a change that they announced that, well, again, we'll have to wait and see how it's implemented, but I am cautiously optimistic and excited about, is they have partnered with an actual health service.
Right.
I think it's called Inspire Health Alliance. And so my understanding of that is, if you have your like registration appointment for disability access service, you're trying to explain this to the cast member. Cast member is pretty like, I don't know. I think you'll get passed off somehow. I don't know if that will be an actual conversation with that person. I don't know at Inspire Health Alliance. I don't know if you will be asked to provide a medical record or a doctor's note, or I don't know how that will work, but it does. I'm happy for the cast members that some of this pressure and liability is taken off of them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Jeffers had asked earlier, my question about the whole DOS thing is, what does Disney think will be the improvement or outcome or impact? Like, what are they trying to accomplish? What do they think will work better with this?
My personal opinion is, I don't think you change something like this if it's not for litigation.
Yeah.
So one of the things they actually took away is what's called DOS Advanced. So for the past couple of years, I believe as a result of a different piece of litigation, if you successfully registered for disability access service, then you could pre-register for 2 rides a day, which seems weird. Didn't used to be part of disability access service. Don't know exactly like legally why that came out. And now that's gone. So lawyers obviously feel confident that they can stand on, like, we don't need to provide this as like an extra leg up, or that's not creating equal ground. You know, that's the point of accommodations, is to try to get everyone to equal ground. And so that's gone, which is interesting. So basically anytime there's like a big policy change, to me, that is a big signal about liability. Yeah. It probably does have a little bit to do with the business model and operations. I know a lot of people are talking about like, oh, this is how they're going to get more people to buy Genie Plus. And like, maybe that's true. I don't think that's the core reason, though. Like, you don't tend to change a policy just for that. You would find other ways to motivate people to do that. Yeah. And the other thing I think is probably a genuine concern for them that this will help is guest relations in person at Disney World and Disneyland are no longer going to be registering folks for this. So there's an enormous morning rush of just dozens and dozens and dozens of people who need to get enrolled. And now all of that's going to happen online. So that frees up all of the guest relations cast members to focus on the primary part of their job instead of doing so much disability triage. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I think that the other part of, I mean, it's incorporated into everything we're saying was it a system in Disney that got away from them, whether it was because of staffing issues the last couple of years, because they wanted not to have the conflict of when they were seeing it be abused. Is it something that we're like, okay, we can clean slate, we can make a couple of tweaks, we can improve a couple of things, we can reduce it from 5 to 4, and whatever it is, and reboot it, because maybe that way, or is the only way that we can then manage the system because it's back at the ground level.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable assumption. We'll never know for sure. They're never going to come out and tell us, right? But
I want the answers.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all? I would love to see a lot of data. People are throwing out crazy stats on the internet too. They're like, oh, 80% of the Lightning Lane's DOS users. I'm like, they never said that. Trust.
Yeah.
Like, you decided that. Like, that's not a fact, okay? I have no idea what the percentage is. Maybe it's 10%. Maybe it is 80%. I don't think it's 80%.
Yeah.
And
if so, I mean...
but also
great.
like if people need accommodations, then great. Like, who cares?
And I mean, do you think this will lead to, because I know that's been a big thing I feel like I've seen it more over the last year, but I witnessed it as well a couple of years back, of the Lightning Lane being used for this line, and the Lightning Lane sometimes can be longer than the regular line, and that kind of is defeating the purpose. I wonder if once they maybe start to weed out the people that don't belong in this system, that maybe they'll see a difference in that. I don't know, but
I'm sure that's part of the why they're doing this, right? I think that they probably did some modeling, I would guess, and they were like, okay, how can we cut back on this? So for people who don't know, the Lightning Lane accommodates disability access service users. It accommodates people who buy Genie Plus. It accommodates VIP tours, and it accommodates any sort of like guest recovery. So if the ride shuts down and they dump the line, you get to go back through the Lightning Lane. So it's not just people using disability access service by far.
Yeah.
And so will this dramatically improve it? I think only time will tell. I think there were 3 key things there. So Frank mentioned briefly, the default party size is reduced now. So it used to be 6 and now it's 4. If you have an immediate family that's larger than that, it sounds like there will definitely be exceptions, so long as it's, minors are involved, like they're not trying to separate children from their parents. Nobody freak out. So, automatically then if you're taking, even if only half the group's going through it using DOS were 6 and now they're all only 4, that's going to remove a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jen mentioned like trying to weed out some of the people who are abusing the system. So lying just to get it. I hope this sort of partnership with Inspire Health Alliance will help with that. Because right now my personal fear is like, well, you just told everybody this is for autism. So then if I'm rolling up, Aunt Judy's like, well, my kid Timmy has autism. Like that almost makes it easier to cheat in my brain, but I'm hopeful they're going to have some method of like, okay, great. Like go work with Inspire Health Alliance and like provide a screenshot of their health record or something.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that will happen, but that's kind of my hope in terms of cutting down on the abuse. And then the third one, which we haven't touched on at all because it's still like so vague and amorphous, is they're going to be introducing a sort of like return to queue process for folks that would need to leave the queue and come back for a variety of reasons, whether that's disability or just like, hey, Timmy has to pee. Sorry, he's 3 years old. And so if a lot of folks that can be accommodated by that process right now are using DOS, but then can be funneled into the standby line, that would take people out of the Lightning Lane.
Yeah. And I do wonder, like, if because you have to pre-register, what kind of questions they'll be asking, what you will need to
ask anything different because they don't want to touch health records at all.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was thinking too, because when I was with the airline years ago, this was a big thing too, of just, you can't be asking people certain information and you can't
they don't want the liability
certain things from people. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes are made on the back end like that.
The shuffle between them and their health partner, I think, is the most interesting thing that we really have no clue about. And that could be so powerful and impactful, both for people who maybe are cheating the system to weed them out, and also people who are like in a weird situation that a cast member is not qualified, nor should they have to help make that decision. But if you talk to a medical professional, maybe that goes much better for everybody. So like I said, I fully recognize I may be totally wrong. This might suck in the end. I might be being way too optimistic, but I see a lot of potential upside. And also Disney clearly made the choice to keep that model where the front line is cast members and then triage happens to health, as opposed to just being like, I don't know, third party everything, right? So they thought about that. I don't know, obviously, what those conversations were, but I think picking this sort of hybrid model tells me they have a plan, and I'm excited, I hope, to see the plan.
I mean, and I'm always in for a good conspiracy. A couple months back when they were like, hey, third party tour group kind of, you're not coming in anymore. I felt like that was kind of a warning shot, though, because a lot of these services, there's business purposes where the pass is being implemented as well. So I feel like they kind of, we're going to do this before we make these changes, just to see. And they still, I think we're seeing probably some abuse. And so they were like, okay, we tried to mitigate it, and now we're going to go to the ground level.
As much as social media complains about like influencers and live streamers or whatever, like abusing DOS, which I'm sure happens. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think like the fake tour guides that are charging people money to actually cut the line is probably Disney's biggest concern, and like really super gross. And then there is like everyone's Aunt Sally on Facebook who's just like, oh, if you just say XYZ words, then you don't have to wait in the line. Like, cool. That's not for you though. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Val's mentioning that lately they have been asking much more specific questions than they used to.
They really shouldn't. I'm guessing that's not by the book. I'm pretty sure all they're supposed to ask is like, why do you think this would help you? Or what concerns do you have about standing in the queue? I don't think they're supposed to say too much else, honestly.
And maybe some of those questions is why we're seeing the third party and as well.
Maybe
it could be part of that reason. Yeah, because there is a lot of honor system involved when it comes to I have accessible needs. It's supposed to be like, okay, interesting. It's also very interesting. Okay, that was it. That was 27 minutes on the one topic.
We did it.
Yay.
So we did 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Dr. J, what are your thoughts currently as we're leading up? I wish I always remember the X Twitter handles when I see something funny, but there was like a parody account today that said Disney has announced they will not ever decide what the acronym will be for Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
TBA, right?
TBA.
I saw that too. I don't remember where from.
Calling it TBA forever now. I will, because I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I don't have any like real nostalgia for Splash Mountain. I don't. I also just don't really like water rides, so I very rarely go on it. I think I've been on it once as an adult just because I was like, I guess I should go before it changes. And I went through the line. I was like, this is cute, but like Tiana's going to be awesome. I'm also like not a hater about incorporating more IPs into the parks. I fully get why people want some non-IP. That's fine. I appreciate that too. But like, I like Princess and the Frog a lot. So I'm excited. And yeah, the animatronics that they have sort of been showing us bits and pieces of look amazing. Like the Tiana one and the Lewis one look really, really good. Yeah. I'm trying not to get too excited because I feel concerned about, are they going to work all the time? Like, I think Rise of the Resistance has really Dilloed my expectations about animatronics. But like everything they've shown us so far looks super cute, and I'm excited to see it like with full and grown foliage and all the theming. And it's going to be a very long line, and I probably will just pay for the individual lightning lane that surely is coming.
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to virtual queue, do you?
Oh, it probably will. That's a good point. Well, I'm like 100% on virtual queue, so yay me.
I like it too, but I want the opportunity. I don't want to get locked out at 7 a.m.
Well, I think it'll, if it follows this normal trend, like Tron right now is virtual queue and individual lightning lane, right? Yeah. So you can pay for it if you miss out at 7:01.
Fine. good thing they have these 3-day 3-park passes coming up in September. That's where I am. All right, let's move on. Topic number 3.
Let me share my screen here.
Share your screen.
The entire topic is Jacqueline has opinions.
That's what we're here for. Jen's
all right, I can cue this up, I guess.
No,
yeah. There you go.
All right.
So the new Disneyland Paris campaign targeted at Olympics visitors, drawing parallels between Paris icons and the resort. You got the I mean, already the iconic castle. I'm like, I know it's really pretty, and it's an iconic.
I do really like the castle.
It's a very nice castle.
Very nice castle. Scroll over to the next one. Aside from the content, can I just say that the right side that says with a walk down Main Street USA in like white outline text on a yellow background is horrific.
I was just thinking that, like, who approved this? This is an official ad.
How did that pass accessibility test? Now we're talking about accessibility,
right? Yes.
Anyway, look, I'm not here to critique the work itself. I
yes,
think
you are.
Who executed it did a very good job. I think people were given assignments and they did it. The top level creatives or wherever this came from, PR, like, I don't get it. Like, so if the idea is, okay, you foreigners from whatever country are coming to France for the Olympics, and we're like going to have events in Nice, and like they're going to be events on the Seine River, and then this is like, oh, you like Paris? Come to Disneyland Paris. Like, Disneyland Paris is America, or it's like fake nondescript Europe fairy tale. Like, it's not Paris, it's not France. It's like, did you like Paris? Great. Don't go into Disneyland Paris expecting it to be anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I think I'm a relatively plugged in Disney parks fan. I don't keep up all the time. I'm not top tier. That's fine. But when I went to Disneyland Paris, we went to Paris and then we went to Disneyland Paris, and I got there and I was like, oh, like, it's really not, it's like so sanitized. I was like, we're basically at home. Like, this is like not Paris at all. Like, the food was not very good, which is weird because you're in France. But like, it's a lovely theme park. It's a really nice version of a Disney theme park. I like a lot of the offerings, but it's just like, you could plop it anywhere in Europe. It was originally named Euro Disney. Like, it just has nothing to do with Paris. And now you're doing a literal split screen comparison saying, oh, you like these like beautiful, historic, culturally important icons of Paris. Yeah, we have that too. Come to Disneyland Paris. It's embarrassing. You're setting such high expectations for like random park going guests that are like, yeah, let's take a day trip out to Disneyland Paris. It's gonna be awesome like Paris. And they're gonna go and they're like, this is not anything like Paris. I just don't think it was smart.
Yeah, Louis is talking about the great marketing, except for the lettering, as you mentioned there. But yeah, agreed. Like, I appreciate Disney like getting on the Olympic bandwagon. Like, they had to do something, right? Like,
yeah, but can't they just market the magic as like, oh yes, like cap off your Olympic trips with a magical trip to Disney, because then you're just like leaning into the Disney brand, not the Paris aspect, which is non-existent in those parks.
I mean, we should have just seen someone hurtling over Phantom Manor or.
I just think like Olympics in general, like anywhere they are, epic and like ridiculous. And then the way France is doing them is quite frankly like leveled up compared to a lot of recent Olympic games, in my opinion. I know that's super subjective, but like, yeah, some of their venues I think are going to be ridiculously cool. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's iconic. Yeah, like so is Disneyland Paris. Like, I just like all vacations, you have to go with correct expectations. If you don't want to be super disappointed, right? Like, you got to deal your expectations. And I just think this is bad from a company angle of like, you're just telling all these foreigners, all these people who like aren't plugged into the parks, like probably have no idea that going to Disneyland Paris is like basically going to America. So why are you acting like it's the same? I don't like it.
Yeah. Dr. J, you like it when I put you on the spot, right? Totally. Wow.
Oh gosh, what's next?
That's it. No. That's all. But no, I got it because I hadn't seen it until you posted about it, and I was like, oh, I mean, but
what did you think of Disneyland Paris? Did it scream Paris to you?
No. I mean, I would say the two elements about it from the castle and like, their little tweaks of
it's more European fairy tale, sure.
Yeah. Fantasyland I kind of liked, and I liked the Space Mountain. I mean, to me, that was just the Jules Verne aspect on Space Mountain. But
like, if you plopped it in a field in Germany,
no,
would that change anything for you?
No. Yeah.
It's just it's not tied at all to Paris.
Right.
In a meaningful way.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, I don't know how they could have, but that's why it was Euro Disney, so it could be anywhere in Europe.
Right. I prefer that branding, but regardless, I think it's a really strong, bold marketing choice, and I think it's going to backfire when people go after or before their Olympic trip and they're like, "Oh, this is not France at all. You guys told me it was going to be just as iconic as the Eiffel Tower."
Yeah, it's definitely not as iconic as the Eiffel Tower. Like,
and I like that castle. I like that park.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my time in Disneyland Paris. But I think if you go not knowing, like, I only kind of knew. I was like, well, it won't be Paris. I was like, it'll be sanitized Paris. But I was like, oh, it's like not Paris at all.
No.
If you think it's gonna be Paris, you're gonna be upset. Okay, that's it. Like,
no, yeah, it's not standing on the river. It's not standing in front of Notre Dame. It's none of those things. Like, no way. I still liked going, but
yeah,
I was still happy to be there. But Jen, it's on Jen's list.
It's on my list.
I think I like it very much.
At this
I wouldn't
point,
go from Olympic Games on the Seine to Disneyland Paris.
No, and I agree. There should have been like a top off your Olympic experience with, the magic or whatever, or similar to, the end of the Super Bowl. I guess you can't do that with we're going to Disneyland. I guess maybe that's already taken by them, so you can't use it at the Olympics. I don't know, but something similar probably. But yeah, at this point, based on flight prices, I price out Disneyland Paris and Disneyland California equally at this point.
From where you live, yeah.
How much are these flights? Might as well go over there.
Especially with the JetBlue route now for you guys, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yep.
All right,
Blue
I'm going to
basic to
acknowledge,
Paris.
Lewis, that yes, the second graphic does say "Come to Main Street, USA," and it is juxtaposed against what was it? There was one of the huge Paris monuments. The Arc de Triomphe, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go from the Arc de Triomphe to Main Street, USA.
Yeah.
That's the same. Let's split screen that and act like that's a valid comparison. Good God.
There it is again.
There it is again.
Yeah. Yes. The circle and the streets leading up to the Arc de Triomphe, totally the same vibes as Main Street. It's so stupid. I can't even get through the sentence without laughing. Like. Woo. Anyway, it's nice. I think it's visually, I think it's nice. I think they did a good job with the assignment they were given. I don't understand the theme of the assignment they were given. And I think you're setting up a lot of guests to be quite disappointed walking to Disneyland Paris, which is a shame because it is a great park. Mm-hmm. It is just not the Arc de Triomphe. It's not the Eiffel Tower. It's really not having much of anything to do with Paris other than you can get to it from Paris.
I mean, I also want to make mention that I did laugh out loud earlier. What is happening?
It could have been
Lexi,
a good marketing campaign. Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. I want to mention that, Dr. Val said that why is the Eiffel Tower so straight? Because we're used to a crooked Eiffel Tower on
Yeah,
Soarin'.
they don't have Soarin' over there, though. So that joke's not going to land.
Yeah. That's true. Quite true. Dr. Jacqueline, would you like to do a little plug here as we wind up Theme Park Thursday Live?
Sure. Thanks for having me. You can find me at Pixie Dust PhD, primarily on YouTube. I try to post about once a week. If you want to see the chaos in my brain, you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. I am on Instagram if you want to see pics of like my daily life, so like cocktails, food, my dog. That's where those go in the stories. And I have a Ko-fi or Ko-fi, depending on how you pronounce it. I still don't know what's right. Where I kind of post blog type content, so like the recent disability access service post went up there because I did not have time to make a full video during this work week. But yeah, I'm Pixie Dust PhD places. I'm not on TikTok, never will be. Thank you. But yeah, you can find me sometimes in the Dillos Diz Resort as well. So join up there.
Yeah, nice.
I like that plug, Dr. And to say, I think it's worth mentioning out loud the Dilloing you did on your Instagram. I think is.
What did I do on my Instagram?
No, you're just in general. Really you're like, if you want to see like a cocktail or my dog.
If you want to see food, I guess you could follow me there. Whatever.
Instagram is like not about. I just don't really post there because I just find it too cumbersome and I don't care enough and I find it to be very shallow and I don't enjoy scrolling through my Instagram feed. But on the story part, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my cute dog. Or like, oh, okay, we went to this happy hour. It was fun. Like it's not about Disney or like information or Disney Vacation Club or relevant topics. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I took this picture. I'll share it with people.
It's usually around this time of year that you do like a weekend in New York. Is that on your docket this spring?
I don't think we have a set schedule for New York, but maybe July TBD. I'll let you know.
And the meetup in September in Walt Disney World. Where are you sitting with that right now? Yeah. She's nodding. She's nodding.
I'm trying to figure some things out with work in terms of the length of stay and flight prices and dog sitting, or maybe my partner will just stay behind, but it's plausible.
I like the Dilloing of your. I'm not committing right now.
Well, you haven't given us a plan, so
exactly.
I can commit.
We have a little bit of a plan, but we just.
I can 99% commit to Saturday, but also like if you guys are going to Magic Kingdom on Saturday, then I'm not coming.
No, so. We're halfway to Halloween is coming up in a couple of weeks. Once they announce the not so scary dates, we'll be able to center our, and that will probably be our only Magic Kingdom. Time. Yeah.
There you go.
We can say that sort of definitively.
I will not be in Oswego in August. I apologize. Lenny and Jeffers.
Lenny and Jeffers will be there, but it'll be Lenny and Jeffers.
Fine.
Love it.
My headset's on backwards now, so we have to wrap it up.
Well, now, because you're angry. Got all angry.
Oh, new Inside Out 2 info drops.
Yeah. Listen, Frank was saying that maybe we had to do like a live watch of the movie. I think you need to be involved in that if we do it.
Okay.
Which movie?
Inside Out.
Inside Out. You said it. I'm holding you to it.
At some point, too, there's this has been since the fall of Harry Potter 5 versus Harry Potter 6. That's also...
Harry Potter 6 is not good. The movie. The book is good. The movie is very bad. Okay? Oh my God.
That's all. She's going to leave it at that. All right, Dr. J, we appreciate you hanging with us here. Just to say that, Lexi says, they did say 9/11 through 9/15.
That's not, I need an itinerary, though, to be like, yes, 100%. I will see you this day at this place.
It's a lot of work. You saw what we did to get you here. She was like, so is this happening? At like 3 o'clock, because I was like, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Stay tuned in case this doesn't happen. She's like, so how's that going with the whole stay tuned thing? I'm like, oh yeah, are we doing this? Okay, yeah, we're in. She's like, time? Do you have like a... Oh, yeah, I can figure that out.
But thanks to everyone who's watching, especially on the X Twitter. The audience number is very inflated because no, in a good way, because of the X Twitter is bringing in the crowd. So we appreciate everyone checking us out tonight. Do all the things and all the places for Dillos Diz, and we'll see you next time. She's Jen. That's Dr. J. I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Kisses.